Hey everybody, I'm Mr. Joe, and welcome to 1132 Kids. We are finishing our series about the book of Proverbs. I just love that word, Proverbs. It's such like a big, powerful word. I don't know, it's just fun to say. Say it with me. Proverbs. Proverbs. Anyway, Proverbs is one of my most favorite books in the Bible. If you didn't know, the Bible is actually made up of 66 books. That's a lot of books. I don't even think I've read that many in my life. But I have read the book of Proverbs, and I love it. It actually reminds me a lot of my dad. My dad, his favorite book is Proverbs. If you look in his Bible, you'll see like every single line is highlighted. And that's because he loves one of the authors in Proverbs. It's a man named Solomon. Solomon. Not salamander, Solomon. Solomon, if you read about his life, at one moment, God actually is talking to Solomon, and he tells him that he will give Solomon whatever it is he asks for. One thing. Solomon, he doesn't ask for money, doesn't ask for fame, doesn't ask for unlimited cheeseburgers like probably I would. He asks for wisdom, and God grants him wisdom. If you read about his life, you actually see that some of the most important people at that time are going to Solomon for advice. Kings, queens, celebrities, they're all going to Solomon. Solomon, he gives many amazing pieces of wisdom, advice, and truth in the book of Proverbs. And one of my most favorite verses that we get from Solomon is found in Proverbs, chapter 27, verse 17. It's actually our memory verse, so make sure you write it down. And it says this. You've probably heard it before. If not, then I'm telling you now. It says, as iron sharpens iron, so a friend sharpens a friend. I'll say that again. As iron sharpens iron, so a friend, me and you were friends, sharpens a friend. Which brings me to my big answer for all of us today. It says, who you surround yourself with determines who you will become. That's a good line, Mr. Joe. Thank you so much. And of course, our series verse, if you haven't written it down, make sure you do right now, found in Proverbs chapter 3, verse 13. And it says, joyful is the person who finds wisdom. Remember, we talked about Solomon, he was wise. Joyful is the person who finds wisdom, the one who gains understanding. Now, you've probably heard this saying before, and it goes like, you show me your friends, and I'll show you your future. If you haven't heard that saying before, I am honored to be the first person to share it with you because it's a pretty common saying. You show me your friends and I will show you your future. And what that saying is talking about, it's talking about influence. Who we surround ourselves with, it will determine who we become because people have influence. We have influence over people and people have influence over us. I always think about this story about my friend Troy, and it was at his birthday party. And you know birthday parties, right? You're gonna have all your friends over, you're gonna stay up late, you're gonna play video games, you're gonna eat a lot of junk food, and Troy's house was awesome. Troy had a pool, Troy had a slide in his pool, a basketball goal. I mean, his house was the place to be. So we were all super excited to be at his house for his birthday. And when we all got there, there was a guy there that we had actually never seen before. And his name was Dalton. And Dalton was from Alabama. That is a very important detail. I will talk about that in just a couple of seconds. So remember that. Dalton, he was from Alabama. And he was actually Troy's cousin. And he was in town visiting Troy and his family. And of course, celebrating Troy's birthday. And Dalton, I kid you not, when I say he had one of the biggest, thickest country accents I think I've ever heard in my life. And guys, I'm from the South. We're all from Texas. Well, not me. I'm from Louisiana, but no worries about that. when I tell you he had one of the heaviest country accents, I mean it. I mean, he talked like this, and he was, hey Troy, can I get another piece of cake? Yeah. He talked so country. I mean, it was crazy. And what's funny is throughout the night, a lot of my friends started to pick up on his accent. A lot of my friends, they were talking country too. Not only them, but even me. And like, I don't have an accent. I mean, you can hear me talk right now. I don't have an accent. Well, do I not have an accent? Do I have an accent? Tell me if I have an accent, because I don't think I have an accent, or do I? Anyway, even me, I was starting to talk country, and I wasn't even trying to talk country. But because I was around Dalton so much throughout the night that I started to talk like Dalton. I would try to get my friend Troy's attention. I'd be like, hey Troy, whoa. It just came out of nowhere, like it didn't make any sense. But that's because Dalton had influence over us, and we were being influenced by Dalton. You see, we all have influence. People have influence more than we may realize. Now, you're probably saying, Mr. Joe, you keep saying this word influence. What exactly is influence? I mean, that's kind of a big word, and you're right, it is a big word. Influence is pretty much us having an effect on one another. It's us really helping each other. It's us maybe even hurting each other. Influence, it can be good and it can be bad. What we see in our memory verse is that iron is influenced by iron. Just like people are influenced by people, iron is influenced by iron. Have you ever seen a sword before? Swords, this isn't a real sword, sorry, this is a Nerf sword. But just go with me. Swords are one of the most dangerous, useful, and sharp weapons to ever exist. Now, since this isn't a real sword, this really won't do much. I mean, I could flail it around all I want. Ow! Okay, maybe it is a little bit more useful than I thought. With swords, you have to be extremely careful with them. Swords, these weapons, they have been around for a really long time. They have been used since 1600 BC. BC, which stands for before Christ. Before Jesus was even born, swords existed. That is so long. That's older than my dad's age. And my dad's pretty old. Wait, wasn't Solomon, not Salamander, Solomon around that time? Did he use swords? I have so many questions. Anyway, swords are made from a material called iron. Now, look, I'm not a scientist, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a teacher, so I'm not even gonna try to describe what iron is. Iron, it's a material, okay? Just Google it. It's silver. That's all I really know, okay? But isn't it interesting that the material to make iron sharp is iron itself? How cool is that? That a material can sharpen itself. Iron, it can sharpen itself. If you want to get a sword that's really sharp, and you want to get a sword that's going to do a lot of damage, that's going to cut through things the way you want it to, then you need to sharpen it with iron. Just like iron sharpens iron, we sharpen each other. That is why it is so important we take into consideration who we spend our time with, who we hang out with, who we are around for a long period of time. Let me ask you just a couple of questions, okay? And you can answer out loud. I want to hear you. Tell me this. What does your friend group look like? Who are you spending most of your time with? Is it people that are nice? Maybe is it people that make fun of other people? Maybe it's people that use bad words and you know they shouldn't be using bad words. Not only that, but who would you say is influencing who? Now that's a really tough question you have to think about. Are you like me and my friends with Dalton? Are you being influenced more than you are influencing other people? Or are you and your friends, are you equally influencing each other in a positive way, not in a bad way, where you're maybe not doing the smartest things, where you're being mean to other people? Are you influencing each other in a good way? Now look, it's okay if you are being influenced. I mean, I have people in my life that influence me. I have friends, I have family that I have in my life for a reason so that they can positively influence me. That's not a bad thing, okay? So being influenced, that's not bad by any means. Your teachers, your parents, your friends, your family, they should influence you. But you do need to consider if it is good influence or bad influence. So are your friends, the people you're hanging out with at school, the people in your neighborhood, the people on your sports team, are they influencing you in a good way or in a bad way? Now, Mr. Joe, yes, how do I tell what is good influence and what's bad influence? Because maybe I don't know if something's bad or not. Well, a great way to determine if it's good or bad is by looking at your actions. So think about it, okay? These people that you're hanging out with, these friends that you are spending a lot of time with, think about how you are when you're with them or when you're around them. Are you being nice to people? Are you being kind? Are you lifting people up? Are you encouraging other people, talking about how great they are, making sure that they feel good and not sad if something bad is going on in their life? You see, once you start looking, once you start asking yourself those questions, you'll be able to notice your actions. You'll be able to notice if you are being nice, if maybe you're not being nice. Maybe you start to think about it and you're like, wow, we actually make fun of people at our school a lot, and that is not okay. I bet they would be so sad if they knew this is how we talked about them. Now that you say that, Mr. Joe, I actually don't like who I am when I'm around these people. They make me feel really bad. And it's okay if you haven't realized that you've been the best when you are around these certain friends. That's why Solomon, not Salamander, is sharing this advice with us. He wants us to be able to see. He wants us to be able to realize that it is important who we spend our time with. Thankfully, Solomon, not Salamander, has our back, and he gives us the wisdom about friends. We need to make sure that we stay sharp because we can do a lot of damage when we are sharp. Good damage, not bad damage. Not like breaking down a building or something like that. Like good damage where we're doing something good for people. Maybe damage wasn't the best word to use. Anyway, I have a great idea of how I can show you the importance of being sharp. So, everyone make sure you're sitting up straight and tall. Keep that back straight. You want to have good posture. Let's make sure we're paying attention, taking notes, and why don't we all check out this illustration?
Hey, what's up everyone? I'm Mr. Andrew.
And I'm Mr. Caden. Today we are seeing which sword is more effective, a dull sword or a sharp sword.
That's right. In the Bible, Proverbs 27:17, it says, as iron sharpens iron, so a friend sharpens a friend.
You cannot try this at home.
That's right. We have prepped so much. We're making sure we're safe. We've got our glasses on. So do not try this at home.
You cannot try it, but you do get to watch us do this.
Right. That is exactly right. Okay, so the way this is going to work is fruit is going to be thrown at us. And with our swords, we're going to try to chop it in mid-air. We're going to see who can chop the most fruit. I'm going to be using the sharp sword.
And I'm going to be using the dull sword. Let's go.
Let's go.
I know this is a crazy example, but this is to show us just how sharp we can be with the right friends around us.
That's right. When we have the right friends around us, like friends that love Jesus or friends that push us to be the best versions of ourselves, we can be as sharp and useful as this sword.
Holy fruit! That fruit was everywhere. I mean, now I really want a smoothie for some reason. Hey Siri, remind me to get a smoothie later. What? I'm on a diet. I'm trying to be healthy, okay? Now, that was a funny and a wacky example, but all of that was to show you guys what being sharp can do and how being sharp can really help us do a lot of good damage. So when we are sharp, we can be exactly who God has called us to be. When we have the right friends, because remember, friends help us stay sharp, help us be who God wants us to be. When we have the right friends around us, friends that love Jesus and push us to be the best versions of ourselves, we can be sharp and useful like that sword that was in the illustration, not this sword. This sword's cool, but you know, it's plastic, I think. I don't know. It's not iron. But what happens when maybe we don't have the best influence around us? Maybe friends who aren't super serious about Jesus as they should be, and maybe aren't always doing the nicest things. Well, those friends cause us to be dull. Ugh. Even saying that word just makes me feel awful. I do not like that word, dull. Ugh. Dull. Like you saw in that illustration, they were using a dull object, a dull thing to cut the fruit, and it wasn't working as well as the sharp sword, you see? And being dull, it gets us nowhere. It does not do the good damage nearly as well as the sharp sword did. And guys, look, I totally get it. It can be really hard to think, oh, we are being dull, and give up those friends that are making us dull. I mean, even in my own life, whenever I was in school, which was like yesterday, whenever I was in school, I had friends that were making me dull. They were not the best influencers. They made me say things and make fun of people, and it wasn't just them. It's not like they forced me to do it, but because I was around all of them and because they were doing it, I picked up on it. I was doing it. And then when I started living for Jesus, I knew that I was going to have to give up those friends. It wasn't easy. It was tough. And I mean, I still hung out with them from time to time, but even when I would spend a little bit of time with them, immediately I would notice that I was acting like them. I was putting other people down. I was saying mean things, saying bad things. And as hard as that was, it helped make me into the best person I could be. I had to give up those friends that were making me dull, that were not making me sharp, because I needed to get around people that were going to help me be the best version of myself. People that were going to help me be sharp. And remember, it's not bad to be around people that aren't necessarily the best people, because again, if we are influencing people, that's a great thing. If you have people in your life, you know maybe they're not the best person, maybe they could do a little bit different with certain things, but you notice that they really admire that you love Jesus and they really go to you for advice, that's good. You should not get rid of that relationship, especially if they are not influencing you. But if you are around people that are influencing you in a negative way, then maybe it is time to get around people that help make you sharp. Because remember, our big answer, it says, who you surround yourself with, it determines who you become. So, who you are around, those people, those friends that are making you sharp, that are making you dull, it is important to be mindful of who we surround ourselves with. So, again, our memory verse was Proverbs chapter 27, verse 17, We've come full circle, so now we know what iron is. As iron sharpens iron, so a friend sharpens a friend. As iron sharpens iron, so a friend sharpens a friend. So look at your friend group. Look at who you surround yourself with. Are they making you sharp? Are you making them sharp? It's an important question to ask yourself. And then lastly, our series verse, the last time you will hear this, so make sure you write it down. Proverbs chapter 3, verse 13. Joyful is the person who finds wisdom, the one who gains understanding. I want to challenge us this week. As we come to a close, I want to challenge us. I want you to look at your life. I want you to look at the people you surround yourself with. Maybe make note of who it is you are surrounding yourself with. And ask yourself, who is influencing who more? Am I sharpening other people? Are they sharpening me? I want us to look at that, and I want us to really ask ourselves and also go to God and ask if we should continue to keep these relationships, keep these friends in our life, because as iron sharpens iron, so a friend sharpens a friend. God, He's called us to be sharp. He has called us to be effective, efficient, like a sword. He has not called us to be dull. So let's look at who we surround ourselves with this week, and let's ask ourselves that question. Guys, it has been such a fun time talking with you. I think I could talk about fruit and swords every single day. Maybe we'll do it again. But until then, I will see you next time.